Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, JoJo, and I'm here with the review for season 4, episode 1 of Family or Fiancé. I have not reviewed this show in a long time. I wasn't ready for the show that was going to come on to last night, but I'm watching it today, and I'm just like, oh yes, let me go ahead and pull out my phone and do a quick upload. Now, I don't know if I'm going to do every episode yet. I can really only commit right now to Ready to Love, but we might be talking about this every week because we definitely about to talk about this episode. So before I get started pontificating and telling all my personal stories, let's talk about the couple. Couple's name is James and Jamaica. They are engaged, haven't been engaged very long, didn't court very long prior to the engagement. However, the real kicker of this story is that they are third cousins. Okay, third cousins. We gonna talk about it. In addition to that, because if they was just, let's say third cousins was the only red flag. Okay, right? Oh, okay to some, not okay to others. But let's say that was the only red flag we were dealing with. They were third cousins. That's not the only red flag. They are third cousins. James, this will be his third marriage. He's been married. Actually, this might be his fourth marriage. I believe he said he's been married 3 times. He is divorced now. He has 2 biological children, and then he also has daughters that he has raised as his own. She has 6 children from her previous marriage that she's still in. She is not divorced. They met at a funeral in 1999 when their shared cousin died. So they knew they was cousins. I thought this was a situation where y'all pulled up on each other and y'all didn't know, but y'all knew y'all was cousins and have known for quite some time. She was 18 and he was 30 at the time. She said she might have been interested back then. She saw a little something back then. But he was like, absolutely not. And I said, don't tell nobody else that, baby. Jamaica, don't tell nobody else. Please. And then fourth, now this ain't a red flag. It's just something I had my eye on. I noticed the matching manicures immediately, complete with the colors. Now, I know D-Wade got y'all feeling y'allself, and I understand, I ain't saying it's not. It's just something I noticed. Did y'all notice anything else? Or I ain't trying to get put off of YouTube. I just got back. Let me keep going. Now, when they get with the doctor, the therapist, counselor, whatever she is, when they get with her, they're talking about their courtship. They're talking about their cousinry. They're talking about the fact that they don't have any DNA markers shared, any significant concerning, I'm guessing, DNA markers shared. So there's nothing wrong with what we're doing here. Okay. They're trying to explain it to her. They also talk about the fact that they reconnected around August and then got engaged in October. Even the doctor said, now she don't normally go here, but she was just like, don't y'all think that was a little too soon? Well, no, it wasn't too soon. That's how some people, I've known her all my life. Yeah, but have you been in a relationship with her all your life? And I mean, even as friends, he ain't been in a relationship with her, but who he has been in a relationship with is her mother, which is his cousin, second cousin. They hung out together a lot. They were very, very close. Who's coming for the families? Her mother is coming, who he was once close to, and maybe still is. I don't even know that part yet because I'm still watching. Her mother, her daughter, and her best friend. Who's coming for him? And I've always noticed that guys tend to do this. They do this on Ready to Love too. They don't necessarily invite family per se, or people that are like super, super close to them. They kind of go with a safe choice. He brought his daughter, who seemed like, according to him, he said this, seemed like only use him for money. And his 2 friends. So he said everything gonna be smooth sailing on his side. And she believes her mother is probably going to be upset. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if my mama found out that I was dating her cousin, who she was very close to, and used to kick, my mama got cousins like this for sure, that she went to high school with, and she found out I was dating them, baby, it's going to be some slow singing and flowers bringing. My mama would not be going. So, yes, I have a feeling we're going to see. I'm watching the episode and reviewing at the same time. We're going to see how this goes. But y'all know I got something to say. So, when I first heard them say that they were third cousins, it didn't really alarm me that much because I have a big family, a lot of extended family where I'm from. And then I dated somebody who was from a very, very small town, and they refused to date. Like in high school, he refused to really get a girlfriend. I don't even think he lost his virginity till, I'm telling his business, till he left home, because everybody in the city was related to him in some kind of way. And he just, whenever he would bring a girl around, his mama would be like, oh boy, that's your cousin. That's so-and-so. That's this. So I thought it was one of those situations where you just from one of them places where everybody's related, or you're from one of those places where the city is maybe kind of big. However, you may not know all of your family connections, and you just ended up accidentally dating your cousin. That's not what this was. They knew they were cousins. They knew very well they were cousins. Then on top of that, the age gap. I don't know. I'm always charged the elder with making sure don't nothing go down. Now I understand now they both grown. So it's different now. Age gaps don't really matter too much. But I just, how many, raise your hand. Raise your hand if you too have been victimized by your cousin. I feel like everybody got one cousin in the family that would get at you if you was not they would get at you knowing that you was their cousin if you allowed it. So now I'm trying to figure out, was that situation going on back then? But he claimed he wasn't on that. But I got to wonder. I definitely got to wonder. Now, to put it in perspective for those of you who are at home and are thinking to yourself, I don't know who my third cousin is, I'm about to help you out. You and your third cousin share a great, great grandparent. Now, if you don't know who your great grandparent is, then you probably you don't care about a third cousin. Now, baby, they had me out here with paper and pencil. I was like, now who is all? I'm writing a list of all my third cousins, because this has sent me on a whirlwind, y'all. I really had to think about it. Like, how far does this go? So on my, y'all know I grew up around, for those of you who are here a lot, I grew up around my family. We all live within, we have some land. And so we all kind of live around it, on it or around it, very close to each other. So I knew who my third cousins were immediately just by going mentally into my family tree on my great grandfather's side. That's who I live around. That's who I grew up around. Some of my third cousins I babysat, because y'all know my mama had me young. So I babysat some of my third cousins, and absolutely I'm not going with none of them. None of it is going down with us. Then I thought about my great grandmother's side. So my great great grandma, her name is Grand Tess, is what they called her. I thought about her children's, basically my great grandmother's siblings' children, who don't all live in South Carolina anymore. Only a few stayed. They moved out. They branched out to other areas, mainly the DC area. Now, I do know my great grandfather's third cousin tree very well, but my great grandmother's, I'm still kind of learning her siblings' kids. I really don't know all of them by name, her siblings' children, like her nieces and nephews. So I guess I ain't too far out the woods yet, okay? Because I'm going to that reunion this year, though. That's important, y'all. Take y'all kids to the reunion. You find out a lot of stuff when you get to that reunion. I actually went to a reunion and saw my fourth grade boyfriend one time. I saw him, but luckily we was in the fourth grade, child. Didn't nothing go down. But I was like, what you doing here? Found out he was my cousin the whole time. But yeah, take y'all kids to the reunion. Get together. Go down that family tree. But see, these two, that ain't even the situation. But just in case, y'all make sure y'all know each other. Because that way, if y'all do want to date, at least you dating informed. They go out and they talk to their families. And to me, it looked like more hurt than anything for her mother. That's her mother in the middle. When did her mama have her? Because her mama looked young. Like, they look like they could be the same age. Her daughter has stated, even in the car on the way there, that she was a little embarrassed about the relationship. She doesn't really like it. It makes her uncomfortable. But in the past, she has pretended to be okay with it to make her mom happy. The best friend wants her to focus on finding love within herself and not relying on an outside source. So remember, Jamaica is she will be recently divorced. She's not even divorced yet. So I can see why the best friend would say that. And the mom is just wondering, is this really what you want to do? Because she was hoping that this was just a phase. Y'all, I'm sorry. The pictures is a little bootleg. I had to take a picture of a picture on my computer because I was watching the show on Spectrum TV on my phone, and you cannot take screenshots of that. You will be in trouble. It just show up a black screen, so I couldn't do that. What was I at? Oh, now, for his side, those are his two best friends on the end. That's his daughter in the middle. It's so interesting because the daughter kind of look like her. Like, y'all sure y'all ain't got no... Well, shoot, they kind of look alike. Now that I'm... You know what? So the daughter is so funny was as she was sitting on the couch talking about knowing that they were related and knowing that they were dating. And she was just like, I just wonder how they're going to tell the rest of the family, if things were to get more serious. And the friends was like, they get married, things get more serious. And she was just like, oh, I don't know. She clearly already knew what was going on and she didn't mean to let that slip. The two best friends just found out recently that they were cousins, like within the week. So I found that to be very interesting because James, am I getting his name right? James had mentioned earlier that it was going to be smooth sailing with the people that he brought. He brought them on purpose because he thought it was going to be smooth sailing, but it's not because you told them at the last minute. So they already kind of just shocked by that. Number two, they did not know that you guys were engaged. I feel like the only person who might have known out of these six people was his daughter. And third, when they go person by person to see what the issues are, the friend on the end, that one in the black shirt, actually mentions you need to repair the relationship. The relationship with your daughters needs to be addressed before you even thinking about getting married to somebody else. And I think that was even a surprise to James that he said that. The other friend, I think he was just more so shocked that it was happening all together and that it seemed a little bit rushed. And are you ready to go into yet another relationship yet again? Daughter, same thing. She doesn't think her dad is ready because she doesn't think her dad knows what he wants. He was very surprised by these answers. I think he thought everybody was going to say, well, as long as that's what you want to do, that's fine. But surprise, surprise, surprise. I'm glad his friends are actually speaking their mind because so often, our friends will just go along to get along. But I'm glad they are really addressing some real issues with him. Now they're about to ask some questions, play a little game, same game they always play, and we'll see how that goes. All right, y'all, I'm on the move. You will hear some stuff in the background because now I'm in my car. So I want to start with his time with her family, and I kind of want to specifically focus on both of their children. So her daughter is feeling like she just doesn't want this relationship. It's not something that she approves of. She is concerned about the rest of the family finding out. She doesn't think it's right for them two to just go off like this is all okay when there are clearly people who are upset behind it. She's upset because, she feels like her mom kind of just focuses on him. Like whenever he comes around, she's totally different. And number two, because she already has a father and she doesn't need him trying to come in and step up and act like her father figure. I know he probably tried to act as if it didn't offend him, but I felt like he was very offended during the conversation. Even when she made that statement, he was like, well, I'm not trying to be your father. I'm just trying to let you know that I am there if, and she was like, yeah, and I don't like when you do that. I don't want you doing it. And he said, but if you were to need me, well, what she telling you is she don't need you for that. So there's that, right? The best friend isn't saying too much. She wanted to know the nature of the relationship. The mother was cool until he suggested that if they were to have an issue with it and not want them to be together, that he has concerns that Jamaica is going to change her mind because she tends to change her mind when it comes to y'all. Like y'all tend to be, basically y'all be in her business, and when y'all in her business, she tend to change her mind on what she want to do. And the mama was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. If she does change her mind, that's on Jamaica. Jamaica make her own decisions. We do not influence. You cannot blame us. if she decides she don't want to marry you, and he kind of just looking like, well, that I said what I said, but he got that he always got a little smirk on his face, like, I guess I touched a nerve. But the mama, you could tell that really upset her. Okay, again, I want to focus on the children. Those are my windshield wipers in the background. Again, I want to focus on the children again. So the best friends definitely have their concern, but the loudest concern came from his daughter. All right. So the daughter says that she just thinks that her dad has a lot to work on to repair with them, the two daughters. And now it makes sense. Now it's all making sense. I was wondering why he said, I have two biological daughters and I have other daughters from a previous relationship. Most people who have children and have stepchildren, they just say, I have 4 children. I have 5 children or whatever. But when he said, I have 2 biological daughters, something about that, my spidey senses were tingling. I felt like he was saying that to make note of the fact that he takes care of somebody and doesn't take care of the others. Now, I thought it was going to be the 2 biologicals he was taking care of and not the other children like that. But it turns out that he has shown up more for the daughters that are not his biological children, that he did not have within marriage like he had done with his other 2 daughters. He takes better care of them than he does his 2 own children, right? And the daughter feels some type of way about that. She was very upset. She stated that it always seems like when it comes to a woman, her daddy is ready to make a move. When it comes to a woman and her kids, he even more ready to make a move. But when it comes to us, it's nothing. And I've expressed how I felt, and he went right off to another state and got married on my child's during my child's birthday. My child's birthday party, I think it was. He just seems to not care. And Jamaica states that is something that she's talked to him about. She's been very concerned about his relationship or lack thereof with his children. Then, child, one of the friends asked, do they plan on having kids? And baby, Jamaica shares that she just recently had a miscarriage. Now, listen, I ain't here to say who should be doing what. But if they met in 1999 and he was 30, that would put that man well into his 50s now. Why, Jamaica? You already got sick. Why do people think that just because you get into a new relationship or you decide to remarry, y'all don't have to have children together? It's not a requirement. You don't have to have something that y'all went half on. You can go half on a mortgage. You can go half on a vacation. You can go half on a vehicle. You can go half on a business. Y'all don't have to go half on a baby. Why do people think that that's a requirement, especially when they already got children? And those children ain't even right. It would be different if y'all's children was well adjusted, well taken care of, didn't feel no type of way. Y'all children ain't even all the way right. So why do you feel like you need to child? I'm yelling. Let me calm down. All right, y'all. This is day 2 of me filming this review, and you're going to hear some noise in the background. That's my little mini heater. But this is day 2 of me trying to film this review, y'all. I'm telling you, I went to a Super Bowl party yesterday, and my plan was to complete the review when I got back. That was a dumb plan to begin with because I already knew what I was going to be on when I got back home, and that was getting in the bed. So that's what I did. But let's pick up where we left off. So Kiana, the daughter, during the family dinner, she is visibly upset. Everybody notices it. And they give both of their children time to speak on how they're feeling. Lyric, which is Jamaica's daughter, very clear, very direct about how she feels. She don't mince no words. She don't get emotional. She just basically says, well, your demeanor changes around him. When you get around him, you real fake. That's not something I'm used to with you, and I don't really like it. James looks at Kiana. Everybody's kind of looking at Kiana, and he tells her, if you have anything to say, now is the time to do so. And she says, I just really don't understand how you're trying to have another kid when our relationship isn't right, and you didn't even think to say anything to anybody about you having this other kid. So James says, let me be clear. You're mad at me because I didn't tell you that I was trying to have another kid. She says yes. Yes and no. She's mad about way more than that. She's mad about the fact that you're having another kid when our relationship is the way it is. And just like before, you can go off and start anew with somebody else's child. But when it comes to me and my sister, we can't get that from you. She didn't verbalize it like that, but I had a feeling that that's probably what she wanted to say, right? And then Jamaica says, I was able to share with her that we had a miscarriage, and I don't know what it's going to take to heal it, but, maybe an apology or maybe even, just saying something to her. The whole table is looking at James to at least go over and comfort Kiana is what I'm getting. And James is not going to do that. James doesn't feel he needs to do that. When his friend comes over and tries to get him to do it, he's just like, I've already done that. I've already done all of this work. The thing is, I do all of that and nobody cares. Nobody cares about how I feel. So nothing really happens. And she's just sitting there sad and everybody else is just sitting there looking awkward. I felt bad for her. It was embarrassing. Now, at the very end of the dinner, Kiana asks Jamaica, how would you feel if your children never wanted you to be with him? If they never became comfortable with being around him, would that be okay with you? Would you still want to pursue the relationship? And she doesn't answer. They kind of just cut to the next clip. So the next clip is the two of them sitting down in front of the doctor. And it is here where we get to see that James is not really ever going to take responsibility or be accountable for how his daughter is feeling, because his feelings just the way that he is feeling, it seems to trump her, how she feels. Like it seems like he's more worried about nobody accepting him, nobody understanding his point of view, nobody understanding his side. So when they get in there, Jamaica comes off as very passive. It's like she knows what she needs to do, but when she speaks, she doesn't ever look at you directly. She kind of looks off to the side or looks up in the sky as she's making her point. It's just something I've noticed about her. I'm not really sure what that is. Anyway, so when they get in there to talk to the doctor, Tracy wants to know, does he understand where the daughter's feelings are coming from? Do you understand the fact that she's experiencing that you left at the age of 5 and you moved to another state? No, he does not agree, because he says that he fought for them. He saw them as much as he was allowed to see them. There was so it strikes me that maybe there were some situations with the custody, which is not uncommon. That does happen. And I'm not saying that I don't believe that there may have been issues with her mother and they came into play with how much time he was able to spend with them, how much time he was able to see them. And maybe the girls do not have a full understanding of that or whatever. That those things do happen. I'm not here to say that they don't. But when Tracy said it really doesn't matter how it happened, it's the fact that it happened. And that's what she's experiencing. That's where James is missing it. Like, he feels like, well, somebody else is to blame for why I couldn't see her that much. So I don't know what she mad at me for. She really need to be mad at them. It's really what he wants to say. But I loved what Tracy said about parenting, and I had to write it down because it was just, it stood out so much in the conversation. She said, it's hard, when she asked him, would you be willing to try to repair this relationship? He says it's hard to repair a relationship with people who don't want to repair it. And she said, yeah, but as parents, we go first. This parent-child dynamic, this is how it works. The parent does things for the greater good, whether they want to do them or not. They do it in the better interest of the people around them, i.e. their children. The parent is the mature one, and the mature person is grown up, and that person makes decisions for the greater good of the group, not for themselves. Jamaica agrees, and James just kind of sits there. I think that is a lot for a lot of parents to really come. You have to really get to the point where your emotions are completely out of the way, your ego is out of the way, to really come to that point as a parent. And I would tell anybody, a lot of people call me selfish for not having children, or you just don't want to be responsible. And finally, I say, you know what? Partially, that's true. I don't want to be responsible for anybody else's emotions or how somebody else is experiencing their life. And as a parent, those are things that you're going to go through. And if you're not prepared for one day your children to come to you and say how they experienced you, whether you did your 100%, whether you did your big one or not, you don't need to have children. You could do all of the things that in your mind are correct, and they still experience you differently. And you have to have the emotional capacity to be able to handle that. And I just don't think James has it. Dr. Tracy lets them know if you two are hell-bent on having this relationship, then you're going to have to help your children primarily, but your family in general, navigate these feelings that they're having towards you all being together. And I don't know if the two of them never thought about that, or if they just thought, if you love me, then you will just accept my decision and what I'm doing. And that's partially true, but it doesn't mean that I'm not struggling with these feelings. And as your children, like Kiana said, I didn't ask to be here. I'm your child. You're not mine. That is very true. And I've seen parents, sometimes even my own, have difficulty understanding that. I know you didn't ask to be in a position that you found yourself in as a parent. Like maybe you know, have full custody and the other parent doesn't do anything, or maybe you wanted more custody and the other parent didn't allow it, or, you know, you couldn't get the courts to work it out, whatever. Regardless of how you found yourself in this situation, you gave birth to me. You made the decision to have me with somebody else. And if you didn't want to make that decision, condoms, birth control, all of these things are available to you to make sure these things don't happen. But now I'm here. So let's move on to them visiting with the trauma therapist, which is when everything kind of came to a head. They go to visit with the trauma therapist. Again, Lyric is very clear. I don't know how many times they're going to ask Lyric. She already told you, I don't like it. All right. I'm not enjoying it. And I'm letting you know right now that if this continues, I'm going to need some therapy. So Kiana is consoling Lyric when really that baby is the one who need the most consoling. The Lyric got hers. Kiana says that her and her dad used to be inseparable. And it seems like whenever a new relationship or a new woman comes along, we're not inseparable anymore. And then you up and move to another state. I'm 16. I'm scared. So now she's talking about a situation when she was having her baby and he wasn't around. He wasn't there and she wanted him to be there. I don't know if she was asking him to be at the hospital. He starts getting upset and saying, see, this is what I'm talking about. Your mom, I wasn't even supposed to be there with you. Your mom was supposed to be there. And this is the thing. James is very defensive about this situation. He gonna have to drop whatever animosity he has towards her, the mother, and Kiana, so that he could be able to listen to her. Until he does that, that is probably not going to happen. Kiana ends up leaving because she says that she doesn't want to be here anymore. She doesn't want to talk about it anymore. And when Kiana leaves, all of a sudden, that's when James comes to all of this. I didn't do the best I could. And, you know, I wish she would have stayed. It's easy to say that now. She's gone. But James feels like Kiana always gets to say what she wants to say. She gets to turn on the waterworks. To me, it sounded like he was saying she gets to play the victim. But I mean, he didn't say that directly, but that's what it was given. And I'm the bad guy. And the trauma therapist is telling him, it's not that you're the bad guy. It's the fact that she is telling you what her experience was. She's using scenarios to do it, but she's telling you, I experienced you not being there for me. And that's it. And I like the way she just made it very simple. This is what I experienced. Take the scenario out. This is how I experienced it. And I'm going to say that, and I'm not trying to touch a nerve with anybody specifically. I know people got to make money and sometimes you got to make moves, whatever. I'm very leery of people who move out of into another state where their children are not. So if you're already in the same state with your child and then you just move, I understand. I get it. There's opportunities elsewhere, but I always side eye that situation, because it doesn't mean you don't love your child. I truly believe that people can still love their children and up and move to another state, but you don't really love parenting. You can't because to effectively parent is hard. It's hard to do from states away. It's hard to do from states away, whether they spending the summer with you and all of that. I get it. I get all of that, but it's hard to do from states away. And I feel the same way if you move your child to another state. And this is only in the, you know, if you've been split in custody. Now, this ain't the case. Now, for you weekend warriors, you already might as well be out of state. No shade. I'm just, I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. But I ain't a parent, so, you know, maybe I don't get it, but that's just how if my parent up and moved to another state and I was 7, I'm thinking to myself, obviously you don't really care to be around here with me. So I understand why she's experiencing it that way. All in all, they decide that they're not going to continue with the engagement. They are still living together though, and they're going to help their family. They're going to choose their family. Jamaica says that she's going to work on herself. So I'm glad that Jamaica saw the light enough to see we got individual things we need to work on before we ever think about being together. I'm sure the family wanted the relationship to just go away altogether, but it doesn't look like that's happening. And at the end, they say that Kiana and her dad haven't really spoken that much, just via text. Of course, James says the ball is in her court. Of course it's in her court. You know, I just... y'all read the book, Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. It's a really good book, and it will help you. If your parent, if you feel rejected or isolated, or like your parent isn't taking responsibility for parenting you or never did, that book will help you understand a whole lot. James is probably never going to experience Kiana in that way. And I would like to let Kiana know it really don't have nothing to do, it don't have so much to do with her as much as it has to do with the mother. I have noticed that men will raise anybody's kids as long as they like the woman that the kids are attached to. If the man no longer likes the woman, the kids automatically go too. Now that doesn't happen with every man. I'm sure it's men out there right now can't stand their baby mama or their ex-wife or whatever and still raise their kids. I understand. Cool. I'm not talking about you. But I have seen it happen so often that a man will become infatuated with the woman and everything that's attached to her. When he no longer wants to deal with the woman, the kids are just a byproduct. Like those kids are mine. Them your kids. And you gonna have to raise them. If you wanted me to raise them, then we should still be in like with each other. That's just how some men think about it, or how some men operate anyway. But moving on, I think James has such an issue with the mom, and I think his punishment for the mom was, if we not gonna be together, if you don't want to experience me, I won't be experiencing these kids. I ain't got no proof of that, but I've seen how this goes down. But y'all can let me know what you think. These two are still in a relationship. They are just not engaged anymore, but they are still working towards marriage. That's the goal, and the family's still not cool with it. This was a difficult one. I know that dating is hard, but I hope it never get hard enough where I got to date my cousin. Y'all like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye.